These are the 5 best places to land in Caldera. Caldera has a lot of difficult rotations, low loot areas and exposed parts of the map where you can really easily die. These 5 locations all provide a good amount of loot, easy rotations into zones, as well as a good chance of getting a few kills whilst being able to stay alive and eventually win the game. If you land at any of these locations, it'll put you in a really good position to have a successful game with a much better chance of winning than if you're landing in other locations. The first location is Docks. This has a lot of loot and lots of cover. It's a lot more out of the way at the edge of the map, so it normally isn't that busy. You're a lot less likely to die in this location than in other areas of the map. And you can also loot on your way to the zone. Around the area around the river, there's a few buildings there where you can get loot if you didn't have enough time to get loot inside of Docks, if you did get held up by a few players that you were fighting. And it is fairly easy to rotate into the zones. You've got vehicles there available to use, and you can easily move along the roads through the mine if you do have those vehicles, and you can run that away as long as you do leave early enough. It's a little bit of a difficult rotation if you are trying to go straight down into the map, because you do need to go through and over peaks, but it is quite a difficult rotation there, so you do need to leave a little bit earlier. But Docks is a really nice slow start to get you looted up before you start taking your fights. So it is nice and spread out. There's loads of areas to drop around there, so normally enemy players won't drop right on top of you. You can get your guns first and then push those fights after, once you've got some guns ready to take those fights so you don't feel like you're going to die really quickly. Arsenal is next, and it's really similar to Docks. It's right next door to Docks, but it is a bit different because the rotation from Arsenal is a lot easier than it is coming from Docks. Docks might have a little bit more loot, but rotating straight from Docks into the middle of the map does mean you have to either go straight up peak or you have to go around into mine, which is quite a long rotation. If you drop into Arsenal, you can move straight from Arsenal straight down into mine. Just by walking, you don't really need a vehicle, whereas from Docks you do really need the vehicle because it's a much longer rotation. If you try to rotate from Docks on foot, then you either need to go straight up the cliffs of peak, where you can really easily die because players often just play on those cliffs waiting for players to rotate up, because when you are below them you can die really easily. Height is a massive advantage inside of this map just because there is so much height difference around loads of different locations, so going from Docks straight up peak is one of the worst rotations you can make. So landing at Arsenal will help avoid this, especially because if you do land at Docks and someone does steal your vehicle before you can get it, then you are kind of stuck, and you often will have to do that really hard location where you'll often die really easily, or you get stuck in the gas and die that way, which I've done enough times. And even if you do try and take a vehicle up peak, you'll easily get stuck there and die really easy, which I've also done quite a few times. So the only rotation you can really make is you have to go around Arsenal and into the mine that way, or go the other side. Rotating through Arsenal and into mine is definitely the best way to go from Docks. So landing at Arsenal means you can avoid that. You can easily rotate straight from Arsenal into the mine, looting on your way because there is some loot around that river area on the way into the mine, and you can be pretty safe because it is quite a lot of cover. Then you've got fields, which is a massive part of the map, and it's really central, meaning that you'll normally land inside the first zone. There's loads of little cluster building around this area, which is a really good way to land, because if you see enemies dropping in, you can easily move from one small location to another small location as you are landing in, changing at the last minute. So if you do see an enemy is going to a cluster of 3 buildings that you're planning on going to, you can quickly go away, grab that loot, and then you can instantly rechow them and kill them before they can get their loot, or you can just move away and play at a slower pace, whichever one fits best with your playstyle. But there's loads of cover in this area, so you can move around really easily, move from cover to cover. You can get away from the enemies, move in really carefully to get those kills, being really quiet and sneak on up on them, because it is loads of good loot in this area. You do just have to search a little bit, because you have to move between the different buildings to find the loot boxes, and it's normally landing inside the first zone, so it's a really good time to just spend loads of time looting, find that good loot and getting ready for those fights. And it's also nice and flat, so you don't have to worry about the cliffs as much, except for down by the river and around the bridges. But the rotations around this area are a lot easier because it is so flat, so it's definitely an easier place to land in. Peak is a community favourite hot drop location. It's definitely a place where you find the most players on the map. Loads of players already land here, so it's really easy to get easy kills right at the start of the game if you can get to loot first. So if you can land on a really good gun right at the start, then you'll be able to get some really easy kills, killing enemy players before they can grab the loot. There's loads of hidden loot inside the tunnels and the caves underneath of the peak inside of the mountain, but this does take a little bit of hunting for, so you won't be able to get it straight away. But if you do have loads of players landing all around you, you can jump down these holes in the floor to get some easy loot and wait for them down there for them to push you. It does make it quite a dangerous place to land, because if you don't get a good gun fast, you will die really easily, but there is a big chance of getting a lot of kills here and then moving on to get loads of kills and finish with a really high kill win if you do manage to get loads of kills here and stay alive all the way through the game. So it is risky, but there is a big payoff if you are trying to go for kill records or anything like that. So you just need to be really careful, and you need to watch out for all the cliffs and mountains, because you can get gunned out really easily from these positions. They are super useful once you are looted up, because you can easily jump off them and fly down to almost all the locations on the map, because you can fly up to about 1,000 meters, I think, from this location. Next is my number 1 favorite location, and that is Airfield. This is definitely the best place to drop in my opinion, because it's absolutely massive. There's loads of space with loads of places to land in, for them all to be nice and spaced out, to get looted up and then have their individual really good fights. So there's tons of loot in this area. There's a really good mix of long and close range spots. Close range inside, long range outside, obviously, because you have that whole massive airfield where you can get loads of really long range kills. And this is where the most planes spawn, so you can get some really easy kills on on players who are spawning in, try and stand on the plane, see once they're in the plane, can gun them out of the plane as they are trying to take off. So this is definitely my best place to land at, because you can play whatever pace you want, get some kills, get looted up, then move on to whatever part of the map you need to when the zone does close in. This is always fairly easy rotations out. If this video has been helpful, you might want to check out my top 5 tips how to win in Caldera really easily, which is linked on screen now. And if you've enjoyed this video, then make sure you like and subscribe to see more just like it. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.